the million podcasts out there, we're grateful you chose Toilets to Titles. We give fantasy football advice to get your crap team to the finals. From Nate's cousin Eddie Persona and his unapologetic love for Chubb, and Justin's hatred for Chris Ballard, our show is as good as a belly rub. Mark is the best of the NFC West, putting down Penguin Pete with his love for the Rams. Grab a whiskey or a beer, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the family, a plan for gibberish and rambling. We have recent news and games of the week. We talk PPR on weekly streams. Start them and sit them, keep them or quit them. Hit the like and sub buttons for the fellas. Got any suggestions, just tell us. Out there.
All right, welcome back to Toilets to Titles. My name is Justin Stevens. We're back with another episode. That makes 248. Guys, we are pushing on the quarter century mark in episodes for Toilets to Titles. And for some of you out there watching, you guys have been with us all along the way from day one since myself and Nate and Coach decided to throw this insanely crazy monster together over 4 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. So we thank you very much for choosing us. But first game of the night, Mark, what did AI say that the genre of that music was? You'll never guess.
Halloween rap.
All right, not bad. Storytelling.
Okay.
Yeah, I typed in storytelling, and that's what I got. Because I thought it would be cool to have them like say the words, like if they were reading like a poem, and that's what it came out. But thank you, AI, for all that you do for us, and the fact that you're about to put all of us out of business. But Uncle Steve already in the house. What's up, Uncle Steve? Appreciate you tuning in. Sorry, guys. I think I'm starting to get sick. My wife started to get sick yesterday. I think she gave it to me. So you guys can all, blame executive producer Lori for that one. But so fun show tonight because we had a lot of NFL news tonight. We'll get to that in just a minute. We want to invite you guys to come check us out at toiletstotitles.com. We want you to chat with us on a regular basis on our Discord channel, our Discord server. In order to get the invite for that, all you got to do, shoot one of us a DM on the Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at JustinFF_, at Nate_Dirt19, and at MT Simon. And of course, I do my best to try to monitor and keep up with Toilets to Titles Twitter as well, and that is at Toilets to Titles. Hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell because we got several episodes throughout the week, mainly the Title Time episode on Sunday mornings. That is our start sit show where the guys will be on there every Sunday helping you set your lineups before the Sunday slate of games get rolling. And then, of course, Tuesday night, the main show here, and then other shows filtered in here and there, like our TGIF, our Friday night, that guy has fragile injury update show. But speaking of injuries, I guess we can roll right into it. But Nate, man, first off, hello, good to see you again. Yeah, how's it going?
I think you're muted.
Yeah, you're supposed to just keep nodding. You're supposed to keep nodding. Just let him roll with it.
Just let me talk for an hour. I feel bad for you because my kids are sick. We had to go back to the doctor today. The sleep's been a little rough for the last 4 days. So luckily, knock on wood, I'm feeling good, but the wife's not doing so hot either. So other than that, we're doing good.
Yeah. I still need you to send me your address. I keep forgetting to send you that shirt I have for you.
Oh, shoot. I'll just do it right now before I forget.
Right on. Mark, my man, how's it going tonight?
It's going, man. A lot of news today.
Saw that big mug of beer from your kegerator. I see that's still flowing. I'm still extremely jealous of that. Congratulations yet again on getting that.
Thank you.
It's like life goal for me. But
if I still have the old regulators and stuff for the one I had, I'll send it to you. I just got to find it, see if I still had it, because I had a setup for one. you just don't have the fridge and stuff. You know, I mean, you have to find somewhere to put the keg, but I had everything else for it.
I'll take the groceries out of my fridge.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
All right. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, big show, guys. This is also my last show for the next couple of weeks. For those of you that are watching, I'm going on a bit of a vacation, so definitely won't be on for next week's show. Anyway, I think I probably will be back for the next one after that, but I'm gonna miss the next couple title times, the next couple of TGIFs. We're hoping either this Friday or next Friday we can get Dr. Jesse Morris on for the TGIF with George. So he's got a busy schedule, but he usually joins us for 1 or 2 or 3 episodes a year anyway. We haven't had him on yet this year, so this will be a good week to get him on. So we're really hoping for that. Make sure you tune in Friday for that. But speaking of injuries, Baker Mayfield, rib injury. It's a pain tolerance thing, pretty mild, most likely going to play. Derek Carr probably out for at least another week or 2 before he can even really return to practice. So maybe even 2 to 3 weeks before he can play again. Josh Allen cleared the concussion protocol. Actually, we saw him play. Never mind. I should have taken that out. Thought I did. And then, of course, Anthony Richardson, hip oblique and abdominal strain. But he's likely to return in week 7. He was pretty close to returning in week 6. I kept screaming from the mountaintops that was crazy and insane. He needed another week. I'm glad they finally listened to me about something with that dude. But let's see. Running back, or actually, is there any comments you guys have about any of those quarterbacks, especially the Derek Carr situation up there with Spencer Rattler jumping in this past week? Did we see anything that excites us for fantasy football?
Not really.
No.
I think the Colts were ready to play Richardson, but they did hear you screaming from the mountaintops.
Well, keep screaming because they actually scored. You guys get a lot of fantasy points when AR is not on the field.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, because we have a quarterback that can deliver the ball when he's not on the field. But yeah, no, it's I mean, it is what it is. But guys, if Derek Carr is going to be out for maybe even 2 more weeks, we might get to see a game where Derek Carr isn't in there and a somewhat healthy Taysom Hill finally is in there. And depending on that matchup, I have a good, strong feeling about a healthy Taysom Hill without Derek Carr, not for quarterback purposes, but because of the gadget play purposes. They'll still keep Spencer Rattler in there, but I think they're going to have to gadget as much as they can. So Jordan Mason, type 1 AC sprain. It's a pain tolerance thing. Probably see a dip in his performance in week 7, but most likely, or at least pretty likely, could play this week in week 7. So don't go out and spend all that fab on that Guerrero guy. Like I think you do need to pick him up just in case, especially if you're the Jordan Mason owner, but don't spend a huge amount of fab on him, in my opinion. I could be wrong. ETN, new hamstring strain while he was still dealing with the stinger injury. He's likely to miss some time. Jerome Ford, hamstring strain, but this could likely cause us to see Chubb maybe come back a week sooner. Maybe we could see him this week. And obviously, with Nate's unapologetic love for Chubb, I think this is a good time to pause and reflect on the opportunity for us to potentially see Nick Chubb come out this week. What do you expect to see if he does play?
You know, I mean, I expect him to light things on fire, but I just don't know. That team's so bad. I mean, they are so bad. I don't know. It'd be nice to see just, if he had more of a chance to like not face 8 or 9 guys in the box every single time. But if he does, he'll be fine. He's a dog. That team's miserable. I mean, I don't know.
And we'll get to the even more miserable news here in a minute with that team, with the recent news that happened today. But Aaron Jones, right hip, possibly a hammy, probably out until week 8 or 10. So that dude is getting banged up. Rashad White, right foot sprain. He could return soon, which I mean, it was great to see that rookie pop in there and do, or not rookie. I guess he's a second-year player, but he was injured last year. What's his name?
Tucker.
Guy, yeah, Tucker. Man, that was kind of phenomenal to see. I'm wondering if he didn't earn a much more regular role. That's the guy I'm probably spending more of my fab on than anything right now this week. Tyjae Spears, hamstring strain. JT, mild high ankle sprain, but he could return week 7. But again, remember, I'm the Colts fan that always talks about how much JT likes to nurse and baby his injuries. Don't be dropping your Trey Sermon shares just yet. Don't be dropping your Goodson shares just yet. Just wait until it's announced, because there may be a chance that he might nurse it for an extra week, and we may not see him again until week 8. Nick Chubb, again, we already talked about that one. Devon Achane, very likely to return in week 7. Any other major running back news that we might have missed, or anything you want to talk about in that segment there, Mark?
Not really. I think you touched on most of it.
All right. Wide receivers, Malik Neighbors, concussion, most likely to return back week 7. Chris Olave got a concussion. Week 7 is greatly at risk. Remember what we say on TGIF. Unless it's a quarterback, if you get a concussion one week, there's a pretty good chance you're going to miss the next week. It has rarely happened outside of the quarterback position where a guy was able to come back the next week over the course of the last 3 years. There's only been a handful of times really that it's happened where they've come back the next week from a concussion. So pretty high likelihood that Chris Olave could miss this next week. Rashid Shaheed. This is a knee injury with no news yet, and that to me is really scary, because in my mind, it's kind of like the whole Rashee Rice thing. Like, you would think that if it were something super serious, they would be able to detect it by now. But if it also wasn't all that serious, they should be able to announce something by now. So the unknown is really scary for me. I'm not saying it's a season ender or anything like that. We won't know until we get news back. But the fact that they don't really know a lot yet just kind of scares me on that play. And I mean, they have a lot of injuries there right now in that wide receiver room. So that's something to monitor.
Go get Bud Means.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, he was on the waiver wire doc, wasn't he?
I don't know. I was taking care of sick kids last night. Joe had to take over for me.
Joey had it. All right. Well,
it was miserable.
Speaking we can speak of miserable, and we can speak of the 2 wide receiver running backs that are miserably on this list, unfortunately. Jaden Reed, a new ankle injury, and Dontavian Wicks with the new shoulder injury. Do we know how serious these injuries are yet there, Nate?
I think the Reed one, because he came back after he hurt it. The one thing, and I just real quick, can we not have – we have an all-pro punt returner and kick returner. Like, let Jaden Reed just catch passes. Let's have Keyshawn Nixon be the return man. Anyways, but Dontavian Wicks, I think, was like an AC joint thing, kind of the same as somebody else. We just
all of the players.
Yeah, everybody else. I had one of those too, no big deal. But I would imagine Wicks probably doesn't play this week.
Yours was more like a grade 3 or 4, though. I mean, you had surgery on that.
I did.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Marvin Harrison Jr., concussion. He went out with 0 points on your fantasy rosters, which was not so great. But again, still monitor all week for the potential of him missing.
The only good thing about Harrison is that they play Monday night, so that gives you an extra day. But still, like you said,
that also gives you another day to have to plan for and prepare for. So
there are 2 games Monday night, though, so you got that going for you. If you have somebody else, you can pop in there. But
and if it's going to happen at a position, you want it to be wide receiver.
Yeah,
because there's more options of somebody that might be on the field. So, Devontae Adams, hamstring, likely to return week 7 with his new team, the Jets. That's right. It's fine. He wasn't hurt. That was just
and remember, guys, Justin broke that weeks ago.
That's right. Not weeks. It was days ago. Come on now.
We all knew it was going to happen. I mean, that was done. That was a done deal. We knew it was happening.
Yeah. Second best trade to happen today, in my opinion, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Let's see. Trey McBride, right knee, quad, possible a PCL. We don't know a whole lot about that as far as time frame right now, but man, if that guy can stay healthy, maybe we can play him a little bit more. Dallas Goedert, man, if that guy could stay healthy, maybe we could play him a little more. Hamstring is out for at least 1 to 4 weeks at this point. Taysom Hill, man, if this guy was healthy, maybe we could play him a little bit more. Multiple rib fractures, he's still out, but he was 50-50 for week 6. He's really pushing towards possibly playing in week 7. So, again, if he plays in week 7 and if by chance Carr is still out for week 8, give Taysom a chance to come back. As a matter of fact, let me look real quick. I just want to see who Taysom Hill's playing. And I know it sounds crazy, but the last time I mentioned anything about Taysom Hill, I said he was going to score a touchdown that week. He ended up scoring 2 touchdowns that week when he got hurt. But in week 8, they played the Chargers. Yeah, that's what I was looking at earlier. Week 9, they play Carolina. Week 10, they play Atlanta. Week 11, they play Cleveland. These are all the types of defenses that he typically scores against. Those weaker defenses that have holes, multiple holes, they tend to know how to take advantage of those holes in defenses. So he's got a nice stretch coming up. I'm telling you, if you can get if you can get him in your tight end position with as low and as down as tight end positions have been this year, and you can get the fantasy points that you could potentially get. If he is a bust and he's getting 3 or 4 points, he's no different than any other streaming tight end. But if he gets the touchdown, then you get that upside. So really like him as a pickup. Let's see, Steve, you forgot to talk about CEH coming back and soon to be the starter for Kansas. So Steve and I had a back and forth about this. I didn't know these people still existed. But evidently, there are still some people out there that think the CEH is going to be the starter and going to be good for fantasy purposes. And Steve is one of those guys. But I thought Kareem Hunt has played really well the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he has.
Maybe. Yeah, he was like the tight end 4, or I mean the running back 4 or 5 overall last week. He was a mid RB2, I think, in his first week. Like, I don't know. This doesn't make any sense to me at all. But also, Steve's really trying to talk up his team because he thinks that he has like 6 starting running backs, and he's trying to trade them off to get a wide receiver. So I'm not hating the game, man. Keep trying. You keep trying to convince somebody, man. Somebody will believe you. Let's see.
Other news: Packers signed Brandon McManus. We got a new kicker. We're trying a new guy.
Is there a reason that we skipped over my boy Cooper Kupp and didn't talk about him at all in the wide receiver injury news?
Oh, you know what? You and I were both kind of flipping on the dock at the same time. I probably just thought that I had already hit it, but yeah, go for it.
So he actually had a really good workout this week, or not this week, today, which was very important because they said they were going to test him out today and see what his practice load was going to look like going forward. He had a good workout, but with all that being said, and listening to McVay talk about it and knowing that they have a Thursday game next week, I think that's when he returns. I don't think they're going to put him back in the game this week and have him play a short week immediately after that, coming off the injury. So I think they're going to hold him out one more week, and he'll be playing on Thursday the following
week. When's Puka coming back?
That's going to be a lot longer.
Gosh darn it.
I'm not ready.
My team with him and Nico on the IR is just really fun to look at.
Yeah.
And I'm still winning, but it's going to run out.
But it is exciting to know Cooper's coming back sooner than later. So
let's see. I'm trying to look at something. I'm sorry, guys, but
I actually somehow. Go ahead.
So I was just gonna say, because Steve is saying here that Hunt, he meant to say Hunt was also a free agent for a reason, and I think that reason is because he left from Cleveland, where they don't know anything about football at all whatsoever.
So bad.
I mean, Steve wasn't wrong to pick up CEH, but once we saw how Hunt performed coming back, I think it's clear you can cut him.
Mark, I'm sorry, but if I see CEH on the free agent list, and if I see Nate Dirt on the free agent list, I'm signing Nate Dirt.
Yeah.
like right out of the work truck, like just slap him right in.
I don't know. You guys all went out and paid hundreds of dollars for Carson Steele, thinking he was going to be the next great.
I did not.
Oh, that's a lie. I got him for like $20. Now,
Okay.
I mean, if I felt like other people liked him like I did, then maybe I would have paid hundreds.
But the problem is,
absolutely.
I would
was
have
wrong
rather
about
had CH on my bench than Carson Steele.
CEH has never been good.
Right. That's the thing. Like with CEH, we know that he sucks, but with Carson Steele, there was a chance. We at least had an opportunity.
He's got an alligator. I'm giving him a chance over a guy that doesn't have an alligator.
And he dropped that alligator a couple times.
Well, I could make a lot of jokes about CEH right now, but I'm not, because I'm not going to go down that PTSD thing.
Yeah,
I feel bad. I won't.
I'm with you though. Hunt's the guy. CH
exactly.
I'm just saying I would rather have CH on my bench because I never thought Carson Steele was going to be a thing.
I'd rather have Sean Tucker or Tank Bigsby.
I remember you giving me a hard time for saying that Carson Steele was going to be a thing. Like I absolutely remember that. Yep. What's up, homie? Yeah. Give the guy a chance to suck. Exactly right.
Well, hey, you can ask Rich. I said it a lot last year. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. They're not going to change. This is how it is. That dude stinks.
Now, for what it's worth on Cooper Kupp, Dr. Jesse Morris, like he has this algorithm where he breaks down how like the likelihood of a re-injury for a player if they come back a certain number of weeks later, based off of their injury history, based off of the type of injury, based off of other re-injuries in NFL past. And he's saying that if Cooper Kupp does come back this week, there's about a 30% chance of a re-injury risk. In my opinion, that's a little too high. If I know that, if I've got other doctors on my staff that know these types of algorithms and they tell me that, I'm probably going to give it another week or two as well. So personally, I'm kind of hoping that he sits out another week or two. And that's even as a guy that owns him in a couple roster spots. I don't want to take that chance.
Yeah, I think with the Thursday game coming up after, I think it's a given that he's going to sit out another week.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, he says same with Chase Brown. Give him a chance to suck. But
hey,
I can't say that.
As a Raider fan, he should not be throwing stones right now.
Oh no. And Zamir White. He's throwing it out there.
And Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew and anybody else on that
all
team.
Of the wide receivers.
Yeah.
No, so with the Chase Brown thing, like my thing is if Zach Moss wasn't there, Chase Brown would excel, and vice versa, honestly.
I mean, he's excelling.
Well, okay, if you want to call that excelling. I think there's too much of a split. But sexiness on stream right now is almost this is the Bayou Bengal back in the house, man. Nice to see you again. Yes. All right, the whole Raiders team, absolutely, except you, Rich, except you. You're rock solid. All right, other news. Let's get to it. Since we're talking all this Raider talk, the Raiders traded Davante Adams to the Jets for a conditional third-round pick that could potentially become a second-rounder. In my opinion, the second best trade to happen today. But obviously, this is the Green Bay Packers East. This is, we're talking about the New York Packers or the Green Bay Jets, whatever you want to call them.
Jackers.
So, the Jackers. Yeah, there you go. They're jacking that team. Go for it, Nate. What do you think of this? Do you think that they rekindled that spark? Do you think that do you really think that this is just Davante Adams going from 1, 2, and 4 dysfunctional team to another 2 and 4 dysfunctional team?
I do, but I mean, the one thing, like he's 31, I get that, but it's not like he's Randall Cobb or Alan Lazard. Like last year, 2 years ago, he still had 1,500 yards with not very good quarterback play. Like he's still a very good wide receiver. You know what I mean? And I, in my opinion, 2 years ago, he was probably still like a top 5 guy, like tilts the field kind of guy. Not so much anymore, but he's still really, really good. And I think that there'll be some, the back shoulder stuff that they'd always done in Green Bay. I think that'll help. Aaron going to get the ball out quick. There was times last night, I think it was it Mike Williams? He hit right in the crotch with the ball that he dropped. Like there was a couple throws like where guys just aren't ready for it to be there that quick, and Davante will be. And I think it helps. I don't know. The locker room may be a little weary at first, but if they win, who cares? Well, Garrett Wilson might not think that because he seems like kind of diva guy, and he wants this to be his year because he can get paid next year. But like I said, I don't think this is going to like take him to the Super Bowl by any means, but I think it'll help.
I think it helps Garrett Wilson personally. What do you think, Mark?
So, a couple things I have on this. One of the more important things is the Jets took on his full contract.
Yeah.
So not only are they potentially giving up a second round pick if he becomes, I think it's only he has to become an all pro for it to switch to a second round pick. So not only are they giving up a second round pick, they're also taking on his whole contract, which is absolutely insane to me because I don't know what you guys think, but do we really think the offense is the reason like why that this team is failing? Like they don't have receivers there to get the job done.
Their defense looked terrible last night. They couldn't stop the run at all last night.
Awful. I mean,
and Greg the Leg didn't do very good either.
Yeah. And Mike Williams sucks. I get that.
Dude, he's terrible.
The second he dropped the first ball and the look on Rodgers' face, I said to whoever I was with, I was like, he's getting cut tomorrow. And what do you know? Adams gets traded, and they're trying to trade Mike Williams. They're not going to trade Mike Williams.
Mike Williams actually makes more money than Devontae does this year.
But his is only 1 year, I believe.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
According to PFF, they have currently down that the Jets' offensive line is ranked 6th overall in the NFL. And you've got Breece Hall, and you've got Braylon Allen and Aaron Rodgers. Conklin is a very serviceable tight end. Now they have all these they have no more excuses.
Exactly
their offense. I thought the offense did look better last night. That little pitch run thing they ran that worked almost every time. That was something new. It seemed like there was a lot more to like about the offense last night, but the defense didn't play as well as I thought. Like I said, they were better against the run, and hell, the Bills just ran it down their throat. I mean, right up the middle.
Yeah, and they need to sign Mark Simon at kicker. Like they need a new kicker.
That win was insane.
It was, but if you watch that last miss, the flag at the top, like I get it's MetLife, so maybe it was super windy down low or at a certain field, and it's not at that point. But just by looking at the flag on the last kick, it wasn't moving at all, and he hit the flag dead on. But by then it may have already been in his head. He might have been trying to correct for the wind or whatever. But
Mason Crosby will be there next week.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. All right, so we have a question here. Hi, I have RBs Pollard. So this is gonna be a Sunday morning start sit question on Title Time. Tune in from 10 to noon. But Pollard, Najee, Hall, and Achane. His wide receivers are Nico Puka, Debo, Addison, Pittman, Mooney. His tight ends are McBride. His kicker is Boswell. Defense is the Niners. Quarterbacks is Dak. Any suggestions for playoffs? Oh, okay. So a little bit different. And thank you for the sub. Appreciate you. Matter of fact, that gives you the honorary. Here, let me see if I can find it. The royal flush. Oh, wait, I forgot something. Here we go. We appreciate you very much. Thank you so much. All right. So any advice for the playoffs? So first thing I would say is maybe take a look. Is your playoff starting in week 14 or 15? Do you have any week 14 buys? What's your record? Honestly, there's a lot here to unpack in that, and we would have several suggestions. I would say probably join our Discord so that you could hit us up one-on-one and chat with us individually or as a whole group with all of the Discord. Again, just send us a DM at Toilets and Titles, and we'll get you set up with that Discord if you like. But a lot to unpack there, and that sort of a question.
I'll just say a couple quick things.
Go ahead.
I'm assuming based on his question that he has a pretty good record if he's looking towards the playoffs already. So, I mean, you got Nico injured. If you can survive the injuries, I like where you're at. The one thing I might try doing is trading Pittman before Richardson comes back. If you can get another piece to add while Pittman's working with Flacco, that might be the one place I look to make a move.
And then while Collins and Puka are both going to be coming back, your wide receivers are phenomenal. So if you like Pittman's definitely a good one to move. I wouldn't be opposed to moving Addison or Mooney either because you're rock solid there if that's what it takes. But yeah, you do need a little bit of help at running back because I'm a little bit concerned about Najee. I know he had a really good game this week. He was a top 10 running back for the first time all season, but it was on the least amount of usage now that Warren is back. So it's just a matter of time before that digression hits. So I don't, and then HN, you never know what's going to happen there. I do think Hall is going to continue to be solid, and Pollard obviously will have his weeks, but I think you need some depth there for sure.
Pollard should be. I think Tajay is going to be out this week, probably. Sounds like. But like I said, I think I'm shipping Mooney. That'd be, like I said, Mooney's been great this year. He really has, and I think he'll continue to be great. But if you could trade him for, a solid running back, I don't know. I'm trying to think who would even be a guy you could target, but a lesser, like almost an RB2 would probably be the place you'd go unless somebody needed receiver help real bad. But
Rich is saying stand strong, wait for injured player to get back and push for a strong stretch at the end. That also, I mean, I think that's what Mark actually started with. So unless, like, if you're wanting to make a deal, I think I like Mark's advice there. But also, if you're not wanting to make a deal, that's also very good. Joey's in the house. Appreciate you, buddy. Who should I drop? Okay,
without doubt, that's easy.
Yeah.
I can't start any Cowboys. I mean, I guess you can start Lamb and some guy, but no. I have no problem dropping those guys.
Crosby comment. So you should be ashamed. He's saying drop Mooney. I don't think I could drop Mooney. I think he's played too well. Yep, no problem. And guys, we're going to try to avoid those questions until the end from here on out because this isn't that show. That show's on Sunday mornings. But we do want to get them in there when we see them, especially from new viewers. Again, hit that like and subscribe. We thank you very much. But patreon.com/Toilets and Titles. We've got a level for every budget and a lot of different perks for each level. This week's teams on bye, we have the Cowboys and the Bears. I didn't get to the rest of the news. Actually, we have the Amari Cooper trade, which is what I believe is the best trade of the day. Cooper is going to the Bills, so they finally get a wide receiver one, a talented wide receiver that just needs a good quarterback. And I mean, we know that Allen loves to air it out. So is this going to be a match made in heaven? Do we think that the Bills bounce back and are now AFC championship contenders again?
No. I mean,
no?
The amount of disrespect that Amari Cooper gets is unbelievable. He has to be one of the most disrespected receivers in the league. The dude is a stud, and he's been dealing with the mess of Cleveland for how long? Joe Flacco came in and he put up 40-point games.
Yeah.
Now he has
Joe
Josh
Flacco's
Allen.
a stud.
Come on.
Yeah. He's not going to do quite as good as he did with the stud Flacco, but
he doesn't play when it's cold. That's the problem.
Well, okay.
You'll see. He'll have a Devontae Adams
play when it's cold, Justin. When it's cold.
I guess. I like the deal. I really do. I love this trade. I think that it really helps open up that offense even more. They're going to be able to spread the field a lot more. And James Cook is already doing really well. I think he'll absolutely tear it up now that they have a better, deeper threat. Cam Akers traded back to the Vikings, and all they had to do was swap late-round picks for that one. Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. They get Super Bowl for Super Bowl 2028. Again, must be a great place for a Super Bowl. Let's see, Russell Wilson preparing to start against the Jets in Week 7. So that one's kind of big, especially for those of you that have been holding on to Justin Fields and you've been enjoying his. I think he's like the QB6 or QB8 overall in the season right now. So that's kind of big news. I'm not sure that this is the week to do it. I think they're setting up Russell Wilson for failure personally, but I mean, I don't know. Am I wrong?
I think you're wrong. I think it's time to get Fields out of there.
Against the Jets, though.
I don't care when it is. I think they need somebody that they can open their offense up for. And I've said it in our Discord, and It is clear that they are playing a very conservative offense and have it dialed way back because they don't trust Fields. Whether you agree with that or not, they've made that clear. That's what they're doing. It is a conservative offense. And if you don't trust your quarterback and your number one wideout is fed up and doesn't want to play anymore, I think you need to start looking at other options. My family's huge Steeler fans, and I mean, they don't watch football like crazy intently, but after last week's game, I got a call from my mom, and she was like, "Yeah, we won, but that quarterback Fields, he sucks."
Yeah.
I mean, the fans are seeing it too. I get, as a fantasy community, we like his production and we like him for that, but as an NFL quarterback, he's not it.
Somebody just hit me up in a dynasty league about trading Russ. I didn't even remember I had him on my bench.
So you should probably take that trade, because
the problem is my quarterback. It's like I think I have CJ Stroud and Dak and Joe Flacco are my quarterbacks. I get McCarthy in my IR,
and that's the other thing. They might put Russ in, and he might be 10 times worse than Fields has been. But I think it's at least the time to give it a try.
See, here's my fear for the Steelers offense, though, is I feel like that offense almost needs to play conservative. Like, if they go out there and they try, because, I mean, they're 4-2. Like, if the conservative play is working enough to win games, if they go out there and they try to air it out a little bit more with a Russell Wilson that we don't really know if he's, better or not better or whatever, especially against the Jets, though, like, that's my thing. Like, what I'm worried about, as if I'm Mike Tomlin and I have Wilson out there ready to go in week 7 against the Jets, and then he plays bad, you're taking all that public heat for starting a guy that took over for a guy that was 4-2. Like, you benched a guy that was 4-2, and then they go out and they get pummeled by a team that I think is going to play inspired football, because I felt like they played pretty inspired against the Bills last night. If not for those 2 missed field goals and that mix-up at the end of the game, the Jets are winning that game possibly by 2 scores. And now they're going to be going up against a much weaker overall team in the Steelers. I think they're going to tear them up, and especially with, in my opinion, a Russell Wilson that's not as good. But maybe they roll Russell Wilson out there and they still play conservatively. But now they've taken away the ability for that quarterback run as well, which has also really helped to move the football down the field. So I don't know. It seems insane to me to do it this week because of that Jets defense, but.
But I almost feel like I agree with what you're saying, and that's more of a reason to put them out there, because I think the Jets are going to play inspired football, and I think that, like you said, they can still play conservative football with Russell Wilson, but now they're going to have the option to open it up when they need to, and I feel like they're going to need to. Like we saw against Dallas, they needed, as bad as Dallas has been, they needed to open that game up against them, and they couldn't do it. If the Jets score a couple touchdowns and get up on them, they're going to need to be able to open that offense up. And I think Russell Wilson gives them that option.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's see. Maybe we can go back and hit up those questions later towards the end here. But okay, so the Cowboys and the Bears are the only teams on bye. And speaking of the Cowboys, last week, my game of the week was the Cowboys and the Lions. And I got to choose the game first, and I chose the one with the highest margin, meaning that I took the biggest hit. That was a 38-point differential because the Cowboys let me down on so many levels, because I have so many shares of Cowboys players in fantasy football. So, man, I'm glad that the Cowboys are on bye this week, because I'm almost scared to start them after the pitiful performance they put up against the Lions. But yeah, 38-point spread. Mark, what was your game of the week last week?
My game of the week last week was the Cardinals versus Green Bay. 21-point difference. Last week I said I had such a big lead, I wanted to pick a game that I'd actually enjoy, and that bit me in the ass. So now I'm going back to like Steelers. I'm playing conservative.
Playing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, 21 points. That was pathetic, and you
Yeah.
still kicked my ass by 17 points. All right, Nate.
I had the Bengals Giants. It was a fun game. It was good. I wanted a different outcome, but it was still a fun game to watch, I thought. And like I said, it was only somewhat closer than the rest of them.
Oh yeah. I mean, quite a bit closer than mine. 4 scores closer than mine. So the standings didn't change, but you guys tightened up really close. Mark, you're in the lead with 63 points now. Nate, you're right behind him with 64, and I have almost doubled your guys' score at 117. So now I am kind of the opposite of you, Mark. Now I am so far behind that I can pretty much just always choose the game that I want to have fun watching because it's taken me 6 weeks to get in this hole. I don't feel like taking 6 weeks to try to dig back. I went ahead and went with the Chiefs at the 49ers because in my mind, I do think that's going to be the best game as far as to watch, the most fun to watch. 49ers without their running backs, especially if Mason can't go, could make it extremely interesting. I feel like the Chiefs' air game is going to be very well intact for this game. So it's gonna be a fun game, a lot of passing, and that's a 4:25 game in San Francisco. Mark, what's your game of the week?
My game of the week is the Jets versus the Steelers. It's Sunday night football. I think it might not be everybody's cup of tea because I think it's going to be a defensive showdown, but I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I think it should come down to the final drive, unless the Steelers decide to start Fields, and then the Jets might win by 14.
All right, Nate.
I got the Texans traveling to Lambeau. I kind of had this one circled all year. I mean, it should be a close football game. I mean, I feel like there's going to be some scoring in it, but it should be a close game. It should be a lot of fun. I'm pumped. See, like I said, Packers been playing pretty good football. So
I like it. All 3 of them good games. All 3 of them at 3 different time slots. So we'll get to watch all 3 of them and enjoy it. So let's see. Upset of the week. I kind of feel like I took the easy route this week because the Cardinals are getting 2.5 against the Chargers. Now, Marvin Harrison Jr. may not play because of the concussion issue. Well, I mean, obviously that's still to be determined. So that did kind of weigh into my decision. I almost didn't go this route, but I figured 2.5. They would probably be about a half a point or 1.5, or maybe even a small favorite if Marvin Harrison was definitely playing against the Chargers. They should be able to still win that game against the Chargers, especially with that run attack against their weak defense. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals on for my upset of the week. Nate, what do you got?
I got the Bucks against the Ravens. The Bucks are getting 3.5 points at home. I think they've looked good. I know it was kind of weird. I mean, they beat the hell out of the Saints last week. I know it was Spencer Rattler, but and the Ravens' pass defense isn't good, and that's where the Bucks can really exploit them. And if Sean Tucker and old Bucky Irving are still looking good, that'll help too. So I think it's going to be a close football game in Tampa. I think the Heat will also hurt the Ravens more than people think.
All right, and Mark.
I like that pick, Nate. That was actually my my second favorite pick of the week. But I feel like anytime you give me the Chiefs at plus money as the underdog, that's an easy pick for me. Especially, I mean, going against the 49ers, they put up 36 points against the Seahawks, who let the Giants put up 29 the week before against them. I don't think all of a sudden they're back as one of the best teams in the NFL. The Chiefs are 5-0 until they prove me wrong. I think they should be the favorite in every game they play. So
I bet you'll never guess what Rich's upset of the week is.
The Raiders. How much, right. Rich? Even with all our injuries, I take that bet.
All right, start 'em or sit 'em. So the idea of this segment is we take a quarterback or a tight end that's in the top 12 that we are either going to sit or at least bump back a little in our standings to the point where we can't rely on them as a QB1 or tight end one. Same thing for the running back 24 and the wide receiver 24 or better. We're going to bump them down to flex or possibly not even start them this week. And then we're also going to choose the ones that we're going to start. And these have to be guys that are outside of the top starting position. So QB, tight end, 12 or better, wide receiver, running back, 24 or better, or that are outside of that we're going to try to bump up and possibly start this week. So for me, for quarterback, Bo Nix, he's currently the QB 20. He gets to face the Saints this week, 7th against quarterbacks. And there's a little bit more to it than just that. I also like narrative games, and Nix has played as a QB1 for fantasy each of the last 2 weeks. Now Sean Payton gets a chance to face his former team in New Orleans, and I feel like he's going to want to open up the playbook and give Nix a chance to slug it out and try to show up his former team down there. I'm going to pull and he doesn't agree with me on this, but I'm going to pull a mark on this one where
This
he
is not pulling a mark.
yeah. So we hit another game that we play later on. He had chosen that he wanted 2 wide receivers instead of 1, and he threw out a caveat of if one of them were hurt, then he's starting the other. So I'm going to do the same thing in this game. Justin Fields, I'm benching him, and if it's Russell Wilson that starts, I'm benching him. And right now, Russell Wilson's a QB, Justin Fields is the QB6 overall. So if he doesn't start and Wilson does, I'm benching him. Anyway, that was mostly just to make fun
Russell
of Mark,
Wilson's
but also
the quarterback what?
he's the quarterback 6. I mean, he's taking over for the quarterback 6. But they're going up against the Jets, they're third against quarterbacks. The Jets look like a much better team already over this past week, and they will play inspired football, just like I talked about earlier, against a team that's much better than them. So Wilson is getting thrown to the wolves in the wrong week, in my opinion, and will immediately be booed. And the Steelers fans are going to want to bench him because they're going to see a loss on the board, and that's ultimately all that matters to Steelers fans. They're going to see that loss on the board, and they're going to think, "Man, we were 4-2 with Fields. Wilson came in; he didn't look any better." A lot of people don't take into account what the matchup was. They just want to see that win over that loss, and I think it's going to put them in a tight spot. But anyway, I'm sitting either one of them no matter what against the Jets. Let's see. My start is Kareem Hunt. Uncle Steve, I hope you're still watching. Kareem Hunt, running back 56. He gets to face the 49ers, who are 16th against running backs. In the last 2 games, he scored 10.5 and 18.7 PPR points. The latter was good for the RB5 overall spot for running backs for the week. So week 7's game against the 49ers will be after the Chiefs bye week as well. And we all know how good Andy Reid led offenses are after a bye week. My sit is going to be more of a flex for this week. I'm bumping him down. Right now, he's at the RB10 overall, and that's David Montgomery. I'm bumping him all the way down to flex. Not RB2, flex. But he's going up against Minnesota, the second against running backs. Or the second best defense against running backs. This is a tough matchup and a game that I feel like is likely going to see a whole lot of throwing and a lot more throwing than running. And you still have to start him. I get it. I totally get it. He's racking up touchdowns, but regardless of that touchdown streak that he has going on, week 7, you got to bump him down to flex and try to make other plans for other running back positions if you can. Let's see. My wide receiver start, Demario Douglas. He's a wide receiver 48 against the Jaguars, who are the second worst against wide receivers. Douglas has now hit 9 targets in 3 of the last 4 games and has a sweet matchup this week, again, against the Jaguars. On top of that, week 6 was his best week of the season with Drake May, who took over and picked up right where he left off at UNC in Carolina, which was that he constantly targeted his slot receiver, which was Josh Downs. Drake May is the reason Josh Downs got drafted as high as he did. He loves that slot receiver role that Demario is playing, so I'm picking him up everywhere I can this week, and I'm going to throw him in my starting lineup. Alan Lazard is my sit. Alan Lazard is a wide receiver 11 currently right now, and he faces the Steelers this week, who are 10th against wide receivers. The Steelers sometimes have a sneaky good defense, and the Jets may try to feature their new wide receiver 1 Adams this week, while Lazard starts the whole process of the transitioning back to his rightful spot, which is sitting behind Adams on Aaron's depth chart. We're going to start seeing less and less Lazard. I feel like I kind of alluded to it earlier. I kind of feel like Adams is going to really help open up the field for Garrett Wilson as well. And with those two guys taking up all the targets, we're not going to see as much Lazard moving forward. It may not happen this week, but against the Steelers, I'm still comfortable with bumping Lazard back. Starting Sam Laporta because he was outside of the top 12. Sam Laporta is the tight end 16. He's facing the Vikings, who are 26th against tight ends. The Vikings have one of the toughest run defenses in the league, which is partly why I'm benching David Montgomery. But they also, part of that reason is because of how bad they are against passing defenses. They're one of the worst, like second worst against wide receivers, and they are the sixth worst against tight ends. So we're going to see a lot of passing in this game. So I'm going to start Sam Laporta to continue to have his small bounce back that he's had here recently. Dalton Kincaid is an easy sit for me. He's the tight end 11. He's facing the top defense against tight ends this year in Tennessee. Kincaid really isn't as good as people have wanted him to be so far. And I'm not saying he's not going to be, but this is only his second year. So, I mean, tight ends do sometimes take a little time to develop, but so far he's not been as good as people has want him to be. And he only has scored a touchdown on average every 6 games. He already got that one just a couple of weeks ago. So he's already got the one for his first 6 weeks. So the odds he's going to get one this week to start his next 6 weeks just aren't there for me. But anyway, especially against, like I said, the Titans defense. Now add that the Bills have a true wide receiver 1, and the targets may decrease a bit, but also the Titans are tough against tight ends. So like I said, just don't start Dalton Kincaid. I'm probably not going to start him for a couple weeks until I see if Amari Cooper can open up that offense a little bit more, and maybe we can start seeing Dalton Kincaid get some more of that middle of the field work. But that's my stardom or sit 'em. Nate, what do you got?
I'm starting Pat Mahomes. He's a QB 23, which is kind of wild. He hasn't had like those crazy weeks like we're used to. And I don't think he's going to they're not that team anymore, but they're going to be, they're still going to score well. He's going to do well. I think he'll be better this week than he has been. Andy Reid's great off the bye, and the Niners defense isn't what it has been. Like I said, I think the Chiefs are in for a big week. I'm sitting Kyler Murray is the QB 10 currently. So the Mayor Munchkin Land had a rough outing against the Packers. I think he only ran the ball for like 14 yards. It's pretty clear that if you want to contain him, that's how you can make him not as good. And I think that the defensive front of the Chargers should hopefully be able to contain him a little bit. I think the Chargers defense looked pretty good last weekend. So I don't know. The Cardinals are very hard to tell. I mean, like I said, they came back down. How far were they down against the Niners? By 20 or something like that? And they come back. They looked great against the Rams. Sorry, Mark, but it's just they're very up and down, and I don't know. I don't know. It's just tough seeing. And like I said, if Harrison's out, I like that for my Michael Wilson shares, but I don't know. Makes me a little nervous. Starting Buckshot Irving. That's what I'm calling him now. It's Buckshot, not Bucky. He got in the end zone against Saints last week. I know Sean Tucker looked good too, but I think they're going to give the ball to both of those guys. It just seems like that's what they want to do is have it be a committee. Like I said, I guess I meant to say too, he got in the end zone like every other skill position player did for the Bucs because everybody scored. And he had a couple catches last week too, which helped. Not as big a week as Sean Tucker, but still good enough. My sit, Saquon Barkley, the RB3. Eagles stink. Sirianni was fighting with the Browns fans. Like, you're beating a team that is really bad. What are you running your mouth for? And you barely beat them. I hate Sirianni. He was fighting with them. I said, Sirianni stinks. Barkley only had 54 yards against this dumpster fire Browns team. And I thought the Giants defense played pretty well last week against the Bengals. I don't know. Maybe Saquon gets things going against his former team, but they are going to want to shut him down. If that's possible, probably isn't. But, I still think I can't start. The Eagles they're terrible. Kind kind of goes against my quarterback I'm sitting, but I only said this because I realized it was Harrison's probably out. Starting Michael Wilson, he's wide receiver 49. Obviously, if Kyler still isn't a great quarterback because I'm bumping him down a little bit, still got to throw the ball. Probably goes to Michael Wilson. He scored last week against the Packers. So, like I said, I think he's definitely a big piece of their offense. I'm sitting Alec Pierce, unfortunately. The reason AR is back. I don't need to say anything else. And it sucks because he's fun to watch. I really enjoy watching Alec Pierce and Josh Downs too. They've been a blast to watch. Tight ends.
Get the touchdown to be relevant.
What?
He has to get the touchdown to be relevant. It's just too risky.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. Tight end starting Mark Andrews, tight end number 20. Said he scored last week. He's back. Maybe. I don't know.
That's a bold statement.
Yep, he's back. That's what I'm going with. I'm just going to ride with that. Sitting, Pat Fryermuth. He's tight end 8. I said, if Russ is back, I'm out. So that's it. I don't want to say anything else.
All right. I do want to comment about your Saquon Barkley. Nothing about the fact that he's going up against the Giants. You don't think that they give him an opportunity to feed the rocks, and Sirianni is an arrogant jerk, and he
I don't know
wants to rub it in?
if he's smart enough.
I wanted to chime on the Sirianni.
That's a good call. Yeah, go ahead.
It was actually Eagles fans that he was fighting with.
Even better.
It was at home. Yeah. He was fighting with his own fans, not the Browns fans, which is nuts.
I also think
it also makes sense though for him.
I also think Kellen Moore is a terrible offensive coordinator / somebody that's probably going to get a head coaching job because people love him in the analytical world. And he wants to just throw the ball all over the place, which I get with those receivers. But I don't know. I'm nervous, but I think the Eagles they're not good, and I think it's a mess there. I think Jalen Hurts looks bad. I mean, we'll see.
I think one of the first conversations I ever had with you, Nate, that was a one-on-one conversation through messages, was how much you hated Kellen Moore.
Yes, probably.
You've always you're right on brand there.
Yep. I don't change.
Yeah. I was asking you a start-sit question or something, and you're like, Kellen Moore. That's all.
Yep.
No. All right, Mark, what do you got for us for your start him or sit him?
All right, so first quarterback, I'm starting Kirk Cousins. He's currently quarterback 14. He's going against Seattle. Talked about it a little already. Their secondary has been getting eaten up these past couple weeks. I think Cousins will continue that trend.
How's he the QB 14? I guess they did start out kind of slow week 1.
Well, I was going to say the same thing about my sit. Geno Smith is the quarterback 9. How is Geno Smith the quarterback 9?
Because he hasn't had a bad game.
That much? He's had 3 weeks under 20 points.
Yeah, but he's not had a bad, he hasn't had a bust game. Dak had 3 points this past week. He hasn't had a bust game. So that's it. It's just consistent. He's my backup quarterback in a few leagues just because I look ahead at my starting quarterback's bye week, sort of thing, if he's got a good matchup. So I've kind of been monitoring Geno. He has done absolutely nothing to deserve a top 10 spot, but he hasn't done anything to deserve to not be in there. So
I just thought it was crazy because he's top 9, and I'm talking about him like he could lose his job sooner and later.
Right.
Those interceptions last week were brutal.
Yeah.
I still won a matchup last week, and I started him over Herbert because I'm like, you know what? He's going to have a big game Thursday night. That was wrong. I still won by 100 points somehow.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, when you have those wide receivers and those running backs, you can turn the ball over 3 times and still score fantasy points.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I know Nate put Kyler as his sitting quarterback this week. I already have him penciled in for my sit next week because Call of Duty comes out next Friday. So he'll be playing.
He probably got the early release.
Not be ready for Sunday.
Oh, yeah. He can afford the early release for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So running back, I'm starting Joe Mixon. He's running back 29, and he's only played 3 weeks this season. There was a little question on how he looked coming back his first game, but
awesome.
He shut that down real quick. He looked phenomenal. So,
and they got rid of Cam Akers.
Yeah. So I think you safely plug him right back into your starting lineup. Sit for my running back. I think I used this last week. Sticking with it. Zach Charbonnet. He's running back 18. As long as Walker's healthy, you can't put him in your lineup. Starting wide receiver, Justin's favorite player, I'm going with T. Higgins. He's wide receiver 34. I said a few weeks ago I thought it'd just take him a few weeks to get ramped up and get going, and boy, has he. The receptions and targets are there. He gives you a very high floor with a boom potential with scoring touchdowns. I knew you were going to laugh and say that, so I had this ready, but I switched to
yeah, I had something ready to counter that.
So targets, he's had 10, 14, and 7. He's had 6 receptions, 9 receptions, and 7 receptions the past 3 weeks. Burrow's feeding him the ball. You can plug him in your lineup, and you have a very safe floor.
Okay, and what I was going to say is during that stretch that he's been so good is just these last 3 weeks, he had 12 points, which was it ended up being a high-end wide receiver 4. Then he had the 29 points where he phenomenal. Great job, good game. He did great against one of the worst secondaries in the league right now and finishes the wide receiver 4 overall. And then last week he was a wide receiver 2. So, yeah, sure. Okay, I'll give you that.
Thanks, Justin. Appreciate it.
If you want to say that he's finally coming around, then we'll sure. We'll go with wide, or actually it wasn't a wide receiver 2 either. It was wide receiver 3, high-end wide receiver 3 last week. So if you want to go wide receiver 4, really good game, wide receiver 3. If you want that kind of inconsistency in your starting lineup, go for it.
Okay.
Put that earlier, so I was ready.
Yeah, I know. Wide receiver I'm sitting is Juwan Jennings. He's wide receiver 17. His first week with all the weapons back, he had a really bad game, but I mentioned he got injured very early in that game, so I wanted to see at least one more game, see where the shares went, and I think after last week, it's very clear he's the 4th option on that team.
How's he still the wide receiver 17? Like, I don't even think he scored a point last week or the week before.
He had like 40 the 1 week though.
Yeah, he did have it
against the Rams. My Rams have single-handedly inflated half the fantasy players in your leagues.
Well, hey, when Cup's back, they'll inflate him, right? That's all we want.
Which is slowly going to lead into my sit for tight end. But tight end, I'm starting is Travis Kelce. He's tight end 13. Probably the last week I'm going to be able to use him in this, so I'm going to keep doing it. Tight end I'm sitting is Tucker Kraft, tight end number 5. I tried to get everyone to pump the brakes a little on Tucker Kraft after going bonkers against my poor Rams defense. Well, boy, did he come back to earth. 2 receptions for 13 yards.
I want to go back and revisit your Joe Mixon start. I completely agree for this week. I think that it's a great start for all the same reasons as you said. I do want to kind of give people something to think about moving forward, though, because after this week he has the Colts, which should be another great matchup. Then he has a stretch of really bad games. He's got the Jets, he's got the Lions, he's got the Cowboys, the Titans. And then in the playoffs, he faces the Chiefs right before your championship round. So he might be a guy, if your running back core, if your running back room is good, that you could trade off and get something good out of him after he has a good week this week and maybe even a great game next week against the Colts. And then maybe trade him off because he has that per game value before he hits that snide, because you might be able to get more value out of him than what he's going to be worth over the next 4 or 5 weeks, if that makes sense. And then if you can't trade him away, you still get to keep a really good running back on a really good offense. So, I'm not saying trade him away for dimes on the dollar or anything. Like, try to get something good out of him, and you might be able to for that stretch. So just something that I noticed that I thought might be worth talking about. So, yeah, I'm not going to do keep him or quit him just because we got a lot of questions. So I'm going to go back through these questions here real quick, and we're going to try to hit some of these. Let's see. Steve says, who would you want, Brian Thomas Jr. or Deontay Johnson? For me, it's Brian Thomas Jr. pretty easily.
I don't know. I like Deontay in a redraft. Obviously, if we're talking keeper or anything, it's Brian Thomas, but I like Deontay in a redraft.
Yeah, I really, really like Deontay as well. Don't get me wrong. Like, I spent a bunch of fab on him once Dalton took over. So, but just I feel like there's probably some inconsistency there. But this week, Deontay Johnson has Washington, so he'll light it up again. So, I mean, I guess it kind of depends if you're talking this week or the rest of the season. But I feel like he's talking rest of the season, and the rest of the season, the Jaguars will be playing from behind and throwing a lot. Same for the Panthers. So really, you got to look at the matchups.
The only thing I'm going to say about Brian Thomas is look at the game against Chicago. Who's first game back? Evan Ingram. And they peppered the shit out of him with targets, and Brian Thomas had his worst game of the season. So that scares me a little.
I'm holding on to him, though, for when Doug Peterson gets fired inevitably, and then that makes like everybody play better, and then,
Fired? That's a weird question, bro. Why are you asking me that?
They're gonna leave him in London. He's not even gonna get to come home.
I do
for the Patriots.
And I do agree with you that it was kind of a crazy coincidence, but I also feel like the Bears have given up a lot more points to tight ends in general than they have the wide receiver spot. So it could be a one-off. So, I mean, hopefully you don't have to make this decision this week, Steve. Maybe wait another week and see how that Jaguars offense works with both of them out there still. But yeah, I mean, it's a toss-up, really. It really is. I think for me, it's just Brian Thomas Jr., just because I've seen his schedule coming up, and I just think it's a lot more favorable. I think there's going to be more consistency there. But I could be wrong. Deontay Johnson's been relatively consistent with Dalton as well. So, yep, let Russ suck. He deserves every opportunity, every right to suck as much as Fields has. Rich is going with Deontay as well. See, I love the men's cam and the perfect evolution of the beard growth. Okay. All right. So you could also go the evolution of the grayness there too. Like Nate still has all of the color in his beard, and then I'm starting to.
I just trimmed it. That's why it's not. You can't see it.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry. Yep. Douglas is the waiver pickup of the week for me personally as well. I think I mentioned that earlier. All right, that guy. He says he's 1-5 in his Superflex leagues. So he feels like he should do a move. Probably a good call. Gino, Connor, Bijan, Cup, Debo, Nico, Higgins, Jamo, Chubb, Dowdle. Who should I give for a top quarterback like Josh Allen? Okay, it is a super flex, so I can understand trying to get a top quarterback. Nico Collins and who? So okay, so it kind of depends. Like, who are you trading with? Like, if this guy is already doing really well, if he's got a great record and he can wait on Nico Collins to get healthy, you shouldn't have to give up a heck of a lot more. So T. Higgins, yeah, he's not a heck of a lot more.
I mean, in a super flex, though,
yeah,
if a guy's rolling with Josh Allen, is he really looking to trade? You're going to have to blow his doors open to be able to get him to part with Josh Allen.
Very true. So Nico's the obvious because you're 1-5. You can't wait for him to get healthy. So I understand why you gotta get rid of him. Man, Gino's not going to do much.
What I would be more looking to do is trade somebody like, I mean, you only have Connor and Bijan, but what I was going to say is like Bijan for a mid-tier quarterback and another piece. So like a mid-tier quarterback and a running back, or a mid-tier quarterback and a receiver that you could use. More likely with your roster, you want a running back with it. So mid-tier running back and a mid-tier quarterback. Because
what about the Chuba Hubbard, or not Chuba Hubbard, the Ford owner? Since you have Chubb, maybe you can deal Chubb and just keep your Bijan and Carr. Maybe you can deal Chubb and Nico, and you're probably not going to get Josh Allen for that, but maybe you can get something pretty solid depending on what they have.
I mean, you can probably shop Chubb to anybody. I mean, the Ford owner might not even be starting Ford anymore, so. I think
Right, because he's hurting now and he needs a running back. That's kind of my thinking. But you're right. Like anybody that needs a running back. Well, I don't know, Nate. What do you think?
It's tough. I mean, if this, like I said, if I have Josh Allen, I'm not trading him in a Superflex league. I mean,
right.
Like I said, I think I'd go look for like Stafford or Sam Darnold, and I think you could trade one of your lesser pieces and get one of those guys. I think I put that as one of the waiver pickup. Like I said, Sam Darnold. I mean, hell, you might get him off. Well, not Superflex, try and get him off waivers, but like he's been great, and Stafford's been good too. I mean, like I said, he said Gino's already a mid. Yeah, I know he is, but I mean,
so he says Gino is already mid. I get that, but who's your other quarterback? Like, have you only been rolling with Gino? Because then that's why you're only 1-5. Yeah. But if you had 2 mid or even 3 mid, and you could just play the matchups each week, then that's still giving you a decent advantage. So,
I'm assuming this is a redraft league as well. Obviously, you're not taking as much of a risk if it's a keeper league. But when you're 1-5, you got to take chances. You almost got to make a trade where most people are going to look at it and say you lost the trade because you're giving up the best player and taking multiple players on. So you want to make those kind of moves where you can get lucky and have 2 positions filled where you're giving up 1.
Yeah, because part of the problem that you're hurting is because of the injuries. So, like a lot of these injuries and stuff. So that's part of it. With Cup and Nico especially this past week. So if you had multiple options and you could play those options, and you don't have to get stuck with the inconsistency of starting Higgins every week. All right, so Steve wants to. Steve is dying to rip me about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So
I've never met somebody that's such a big Edwards-Helaire fan. Like this is like it kind of baffles me. Like he's so excited about him.
Right. I don't get it. But I mean, I hope you're right, Steve. I hope for your sake you're right. I really do, because I've seen that team and it needs help. So that would be wonderful for you. Let's see. Steve Evans says. What are your thoughts on Rashad Bateman? All right. Kind of a T. Higgins level for me, but somebody that doesn't cost what T. Higgins costs. So right now he's wide receiver 46. He's had a few double digits games. Obviously not quite to T. Higgins level. I'm just mostly giving Mark a shot, but when he has good matchups, I think he's worth starting. I think this week against Tampa Bay, there's an opportunity there. Cleveland still has a lot of injuries. Maybe there's an opportunity there in week 8. So I guess it depends on how deep your wide receiver room is. But if he's somebody you're just looking to pick up for bye week replacement here and there, this might be a week to potentially throw him in your flex spot if you need it. Full PPR. Would you guys trade Amon-Ra for Debo and Reed? Ooh. I really like Debo, but
it depends on your receiver room, right? Like if you have Amon-Ra and nobody else, yes, I'm making this move. If you have a solid wide receiver 2 to go along with Amon-Ra, I'm probably not.
Yeah, I mean, Reed's been tearing it up. Like when he's healthy, Love's healthy, he has been tearing it up. So it does make it easier that Reed seems like he would normally be the extra piece here, but he's statistically the best piece here this year. So that really helps. Yeah, I might do it. I think I might do it. Might pull that trigger. There's been other options for Detroit that Goff has been going to lately.
I mean, Tim Patrick scored last week. I mean, everybody scored last week for the Lions, but they had linemen out there running routes. You know what? Dave Cable's whatever. He makes some dumb mistakes, but his hate for the Cowboys makes me happy. Like
I was just saying, but
I was loving it.
I didn't realize the hate for the Cowboys was that much until they started running the hook and ladder to the linemen.
No, and then the other guy
up 40 already.
The other guy was out there like literally like running routes. Like I can't think what my and then because they were up by 40. They ran some crosser to JMO and he was gone. And I'm like, dude, he hates and I love it.
Yeah, so he did throw out the rest of his roster here. So he said his current roster is Stroud at running back. He's got Chase Brown, James Conner, Eckler, and then he has Amon-Ra, Drake, Nico, Mooney, Addison, and then tied in is Ferguson and Pitts. So if you lose Amon-Ra in this trade, then you're going to have Debo, Reed, Drake, Nico, Mooney, Addison. So I'm assuming you'll have to drop somebody. So you're probably going to drop Addison. But yeah, you really do need a running back, definitely. So maybe if it's a 2-for-1 deal, let's see, because it was. Would you guys trade Amon-Ra? So it's a 2-for-1. You're getting rid of one, and you're getting back two. So now you have to cut somebody. You're probably going to cut another wide receiver anyway. Well, what running back does he have? But he also admits that he needs a running back. But I think I could start Reed and Debo at least for this week.
With
are you making trades week to week?
With that wide receiver room, I'm keeping Amon-Ra. I think with Drake London and Nico and Mooney as his 4, I'm not doing a 2-for-1 in that situation.
I could get Debo or Reed plus Brian Robinson. There you go. I like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, definitely like that better.
Well, he's saying he could get Debo or Reed and then just the one more. I don't think he's getting both those guys and Brian Robinson.
Right. He said Debo or Reed plus Brian Robinson. Yeah, and I still like it. I like it better because he needs running back help more. So
I'd probably take Reed and B-Rob.
Reed and Brian Robinson for Amon-Ra. I think I really like that.
What's Robinson's injury like? Is he good?
I mean, he's going to be good. I don't think it was anything long term. And if you're trading from week to week, then I mean that might be an issue. But
and you have Eckler, so you got the whole backs locked up there too. That would be helpful to you.
Yeah, he didn't play in week 6, but he was downgraded on Saturday to questionable. So it was kind of a late thing. So,
but he didn't. I don't think he practiced at all last week either, which was part of the issue, which made me think it might be a little longer injury. But
all right, you know what? You guys take over those comments there, and I will pull up Dr. Jesse Morris, and I'll let you know about Brian Robinson. Oh, actually, I've got it pulled up already.
All right, let's see. Are you going to read it? Or you want me to take the next one?
No, you're good. I have to refresh.
Okay. Jay says, Dell, Adams, Myers, Wandale, Chase Brown, flex 2, pick 1 wide receiver.
So 1 wide receiver and 2 flexes.
I'm taking probably Tank Dell and Wandale. And I mean, I'm going to start Adams. I feel like he's going to score a touchdown this week, but it's Dell and Wandale for me, and then either Chase Brown or Devontae Adams.
I was going to say, for me, I'm going Adams, Wandale, and Chase Brown.
All right, I'm definitely going Wandale, probably going Chase Brown. I'm trying to kind of look this up on the fly, but I did get that injury update for Brian Robinson. They have him down 50-50. They're saying that there's a 50-50 chance that he goes in week 7. So if it's 50-50 for this week, then that means it's probably going to be a week another week at most that he misses. But if Jacoby Myers plays, I think I'm going to go Jacoby Myers, Wandale, and Chase Brown. If he doesn't play, then sure, let's go with the upside of Adams. Let's see. Got Eckler as a cuff. Yeah, that's true. That would help as well.
Yeah, Justin, maybe you should.
Maybe while we're on vacation, when George has him on, I'll jump in real quick and be like, "Hey, Doc." He's just gonna say, "Quit drinking beer and exercise," like all the other doctors.
No, beer helps you.
What are they? Exactly. All right. Who would you all send for Amari Cooper Wide receivers are Higgins, Brian Thomas Jr., Wandell, Downs, Rashid. Running backs are Mason, CMC, Kyron, Corum, Chubb, Tracy. Quarterback is Lamar, and kicker's Aubrey, for what that's worth.
I'd send Aubrey if you can get anything for him. The Cowboys stink. I just want to say that.
I think the problem with this question is you more need to know what the Cooper owner needs or is going to want for him.
You only got about 3 weeks left till it gets cold in Orchard Park, and you're going to be in trouble with Mari Cooper anyways.
Oh my God, disrespectful. Disrespect.
He doesn't play when it's cold.
Oh, he plays when it's cold. He probably doesn't play for Cleveland when it's cold because they don't have a quarterback.
They did last year.
For what it's worth, though, I would throw out there Chubb and Higgins or Chubb and Waddle. I would throw that out there and see what they say. If we're just in a vacuum right now and we don't know those other
throw Shaheed in there too.
Yeah, Shaheed's fine. Like these are all decent names that some people are really big on, that aren't going to be as good as Amari Cooper. So if you want to package a couple of them together, I'm fine with that.
Nate, are you going to allow that? He said
What?
Nick Chubb isn't going to be as good as Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to take him a few games to get his feet back on. Into the season, sure, but maybe.
It's okay. I'm used to it by now.
Yeah.
Nobody likes him like I do.
Perry, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but he just got offered Neighbors and Pollard for either Brees or Kyron.
No.
Ooh. I don't know. How bad are your wide receivers? Because Neighbors is a target monster that's tearing it up. Yeah. Brees has been up and down, although I think he's going to be mostly up moving forward. Kyron, he gets a touchdown every single game, so that one's kind of hard to pass up on. But you're also getting Pollard there too. So between Neighbors and Pollard combined, you're probably still going to get that touchdown every week. So it really depends on what your wide receivers look like. Are you super desperate? If you're super desperate, then I might consider. And who do you have to drop to make this happen? Because you're getting Neighbors and Pollard, but you're only giving back one guy. But
I mean, you got Justin Jefferson, Deontay, and Waddle. I'd be good.
Because if you have Brees or Kyron, you're giving up in the trade. I'm going to assume you have at least a third and fourth decent running back too. It says he needs a running back, but what do you need? It says I'm asking him Chase Brown for Cooper. There you go. Throw it out there and see what happens. Now Nate or Mark's going to absolutely hate that.
I'm covering my mouth right now.
I like it. Jefferson, Deontay, Waddle, and Dell are his other wide receivers for this question.
I'm not trading it for that. That's who I have? No.
Not trading.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
The other thing is, I don't know. Maybe I'm paranoid, but the concussions scare the hell out of me. Like,
especially a guy that gets that many targets, like he's going to get banged up again. And I feel like it's
also leading up to this second week missing and leading up to this week. Like they didn't make it sound like he was making any progress throughout the week.
He was too busy at what the hell concert did he go to? I just forgot now. All right.
You went to a concert on a concussion?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. So he doesn't give a shit. So ETN and Brooks are his other running backs. So no, I'm definitely not doing this. So that's all your other running backs are, because ETN's losing his job. And if he doesn't lose it to Bigsby, he's losing it to Ernest Johnson of all people. Like ETN's going to be losing his job, and that's assuming he stays healthy even. Like, and then Brooks, like we want to think that Brooks is going to be solid. We want to think he's going to be a good rookie, but he's still a rookie. Like we don't know. So if we don't know, then all you have are Brees and Kyron. I mean, most of us on this show anyway are running back heavy kind of guys most of the time. Brees and Kyron are phenomenal, but you really need a third. Like right now, if anything, like getting Pollard is great, but not if you have to give up Brees or Kyron, either one. Never mind. I'm completely off of this trade.
Malik Neighbors went to a Travis Scott concert, by the way.
Who?
Travis Scott.
Yeah, I don't listen to music.
Oh.
I don't know who that is. Expect a high-scoring week for Barkley this week because she just lost them in Frank. He's just been okay since I've had him. So she stole him. He's just been okay. Now he's been stolen from her. He's gonna have a big week. That's how fantasy football works, guys. We don't throw the analysis out, throw away all those stats. Everything that you said about Saquon earlier, Mark, it all depends on the luck factor of Lori's Frank team. And we should know this by now.
Yeah. Lori, you're not allowed to lose. I'm 1-5. I've been living vicariously through your team since you've been asking me all these questions about it. So now that you lost, I didn't get to help steal a player.
You know what? She didn't call you this past week, and she lost. I think there's something to that.
Valid point.
She needs to stop listening to me, evidently. Actually, she usually doesn't. That's why she usually calls you. All right. Do you think Hubbard will be that dominant in the coming weeks, even though I don't think he'll be as dominant as he has been? Obviously, he's going to lose some opportunity. We have to make a choice. Like right now, like we don't know what we're going to get with Brooks yet. So if I'm going to have to make a decision here, I'm going to say that Hubbard loses 20% of his production to Brooks as they try to bounce him back and see. The important part is to see the first 2 games of Brooks and see that progression over those 2 weeks. And if it looks like he's getting more opportunity, then that means the coaches like what they saw in the first week. So that's when you start to make a move. As you go until the 3rd game, you might be waiting too long to make a move. Should I go after him? Should I go after Hubbard? Maybe, yeah. If you can go after Hubbard if you have Brooks. That's not a bad idea. You could tell the guy, "Hey, Brooks is coming back. Maybe you can get him for on the cheap." But it depends on how he views Brooks. If she would have started Cole Kmet, which you may have told her to start, Mark, then she would have won. So, but she had 4 really good tight ends, so she had to make a tough choice. What if
Now I'm confused with this question. I was just reading his question here. So does he have Neighbors and Pollard then? And he was getting offered either Brees or Kyron?
No, I think he's saying if he made that trade and got Neighbors and Pollard, then if he could flip Pollard and one of those wide receivers for a guy like Mixon, that's too risky.
You're trading in just a trade at that point. When you're planning multiple moves just to fill a spot that you already have filled perfectly fine, there's no reason to do it in my mind.
And you have to really hope that you trust the guy. Like if this is our T2T league where it's us T2T members and this is happening and Nate says, "Hey Justin, if I make this trade, would you want if I do make this trade and I get Pollard, can we flip it and then I'll make this trade and I get Mixon from you in this deal?" I'd be like, "Yeah, Nate, go for it." And then as soon as Nate makes that trade, I'm gonna be like, "Nah, forget it."
Yeah, no, I traded Mixon to somebody else. My bad. Hell yeah.
No, I just changed my mind. Yeah. I'm keeping Mixon. So, I don't know. There's a lot to that one. But also, I'm one of the creators of the Frankenstein. So if you ever played in the Frankenstein Listener League with all the monster powers and all the shady stuff that can go down behind the scenes in that league, then you would understand my thinking there. But that is, kind of approved collusion sometimes. Hubbard or Najee? Think I'm going to go with Hubbard just because of what I said earlier about Najee losing out to Warren, and he lost a lot of opportunity this week. And now maybe that helps him be more efficient. But until I see it from Brooks, I'm going to go with Najee. What do you think, Mark?
Wait, you're going with Najee or Hubbard?
I'm going with Hubbard. I'm trying to trade Najee.
Is this a week question or a season question? Because if it's a week question, I'm going Najee this week against the Jets defense, 100%.
Yes, I agree.
But if you're right, if it's a season-long question, I'd much rather have Hubbard than Najee.
Yeah, for some reason we keep getting a bunch of season-long questions right now on this show. We never get this, so I wasn't really expecting that. But then, I don't know, man. Hubbard's playing Washington.
I'll start Chuba Hubbard over Najee.
I watched Ray Davis just absolutely run over them like he was a Hall of Fame running back.
They'll be better.
Yeah, but Najee's not that good though. I'm going to go with Hubbard this week, and I'm going to go with Hubbard on the season. I didn't see the matchup there. I have Brees and okay. Yeah, he's saying he's the one that has Brees and Kyron, so we sorted that out.
Don't trade them.
Yeah, so it was the Freddie card that ultimately did her in.
I know. I put the points in this morning, and as I was putting them in, I saw that it flipped the score. I was like, "Son of a!"
Well, see, it's Mark's fault
Mm-hmm.
for doing his job. All right, guys. Hey, it's we're at an hour and a half. We need to get off here. But we appreciate your time. We appreciate all the questions there, guys. Keep the questions coming on Sunday morning from 10 to noon. The guys on the Title Time show, Start Sit show on Sunday morning, they can also answer some of these other questions as well. It's not just all start and sit, but mostly we're going to try to help set your lineups. Also, tune in on Friday night while I am on the road to my vacation. And my man George will be able to hook you up with any injury update questions you might have as well. So make sure you tune in for that on Friday. So for Mark, for Nate, my name's Justin. Hit that like and subscribe. We appreciate y'all. Have a good night.
With a million podcasts out there, we're grateful you chose toilets to titles. We give fantasy football advice to get your crap team to the finals. From Nate's cousin Eddie Persona and his unapologetic love for Chubb, and Justin's hatred for Chris Ballard, our show is as good as a belly rub. Mark is the best of the NFC West, putting down Penguin Pete with his love for the Rams. Grab a whiskey or a beer, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the